I wanted to call it the strategy walk along, or watch along, but ain't much strategy to talk about in this one. You need some runs, and you're not capable of getting it. So that's where we're at. It's Matt McCarthy live in for Joe Murray tonight. We're here until midnight. We will be doing, of course, Red Sox postmortem, Red Sox reactions all night long here at 617-779-0985. But if you want to jump the gun and break this game down, have at it. I mean, there's no reason to wait. Skaz, there's no reason to dance around and do some type of Patriots topic and pretend like the game's not going on. The game's going on, and it's not going well at all here for the Red Sox. So we'll jump into it right now at 617-779-0985. Did the Bruins win? They did. Thumbs up. I was here. I was doing the updates during the Bruins game. Couldn't tell you one bit. One thing that happened in this Bruins game tonight, because like you, I'm watching the Red Sox. And this is shaping up to be a really disappointing outcome here for this team. I'll say it off the top. This season is a success. It is. They made the playoffs, and by making the playoffs, you got to learn a little something about this team, about this young group, because this, let's be totally honest, this Red Sox team, these guys had never played meaningful baseball games. You've gotten a bit of an answer on at least a few key Red Sox players moving forward that they have to make decisions on this offseason and decisions on moving forward, and you've gotten your answers. Jarren Duran, I'm sorry, is not a winning baseball player. I've been trying to tell you this for a while, and he has proven that tenfold in this series. He is not a winning baseball player. I'm sure he will be one of the players you want to talk about, one of the players you want to react about in this series. I would understand why. He's been awful. He's been putrid. And frankly, if it weren't for Jarren Duran, the Red Sox might not be playing this game tonight, and we'd be talking about an ALDS appearance, and it certainly does not appear that that is going to happen. So what's happening is right now Justin Slayton has gotten out of the fifth inning. He came on in place of Connor Lee Early, who pitched reasonably well, was competitive for the Red Sox in this game tonight, and the defense let him down in the fourth inning. If you were listening to the Bruins game, if you are just tuning in, the recap simply is this. The Red Sox have not hit the way that they really haven't hit all series. They really haven't hit tonight. Cam from Walpole, I'm not even going to attempt the last name. We have not reached 10 o'clock here, Skaz. We have not reached the FCC safe harbor. There's going to be bad news if I try to pronounce Cam from Walpole's last name. It's not going to go right. It's not going to go well. I don't want you to have to dump me. Skaz, if you're going to dump me tonight, it's going to be because I'm swearing at Jarren Duran. It's not going to be because I can't pronounce the name of the guy from Walpole who has been shoving it up the Red Sox butts tonight, because that's what he's been doing. So we won't go there. But Early was competitive. And the Red Sox defense let him down. Cedar Rafaela unable to haul in a fly ball from Cody Bellinger in the bottom of the fourth inning. It sets off an inning where the Red Sox just kind of got bled to death, and Early got bled to death. He was not as good second time through, but he was still very competitive second time through the order, and the Red Sox could not make any plays in the field. Duran could not throw a runner out at the plate. Nate Lowe, and I'm not going to call him Nathaniel, I'm going to call him Nate. If you catch the ball, I call you by your real name. Nate Lowe could not pick a potential double play ball to get out of the inning. It leads to 2 runs. That would have been a real game changer. Yankees up 4-0 instead of 2-0 because the Red Sox cannot field the ball. And if Rafaela ultimately is able to track down a fly ball that was up there forever, Skaz, forever in the New York night, took a terrible route to it, that inning is maybe completely and totally different, and maybe we're talking about a different baseball game where you're still trying to find a way to scratch and claw your way to a few runs, which seems increasingly impossible for this Red Sox lineup. But the story is twofold. The defense let them down, which we've seen all year long, and they can't hit, which we knew on the night they traded Rafael Devers they probably would not be able to hit in a big moment. The frustrating thing about this is that you should have been able to get by without hitting in this series, because you had a chance to win this series last night. Jarren Duran couldn't make a play, which ultimately was a can of corn. Your third base coach is terrible at his job and was not able to send Nate Eaton home when he obviously should have been sent home in a 2-out, 3-2 situation. And here we are. Red Sox down 4-0 as we head to the top of the 6th in New York with the middle of the order up here for the Red Sox. This feels like their last gasp, if there's anything. But I'm going to tell you, if you've watched this team tonight, if you've watched this team in this series, it is not trending in the right direction. So we'll go to you early and often tonight if you want to jump the gun on reacting to this. I certainly don't think it's too soon to do that. 617-779-0985. Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Let's go to Steve on the Cape to lead things off. Hey, Steve.
What's up? Hey, we're here.
Hi, Steve. We're here, too.
Hey, so listen, I got to tell you something. That is complete garbage. The Red Sox have played goddamn above and beyond the way they should have all season.
That's not true. The Vegas over-under was 86 wins, which is enough to make the playoffs. 86 and a half wins. So they met their expectation this year. They made the playoffs.
Come on. I mean, come on. You as a Red Sox fan, which I know you are,
yep,
and me as one of the biggest ones of all time, what we did this year, to me, is way beyond what could have possibly happened.
You've got to be kidding me with that, Steve. Come on. The expectations coming into the year were playoffs. To say that they far exceeded their expectations, dude.
What? God, I just fucking...
I was not expecting Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. Hey, everything's great. You know what? No, everything is not great right now. The Red Sox are down 4-0. They're getting their asses kicked. They can't hit. But don't tell me that they weren't supposed to make the playoffs, that they've somehow overachieved everything. I said it off the top. This season is a success. The expectations were playoffs. They made the playoffs. That does not, though, mean that I come in here and say everything's happy-go-lucky and no big deal they didn't win this series. They were up in this series. They had a chance to close out this series. They should have won this series. And they're down 4-0 and they can't hit at this point. So the game's probably over. They had a chance to win that game last night, and they crapped it away because they couldn't play fundamental baseball, because Jarren Duran's not a winning baseball player, because Kyle Hudson's not a good third base coach, because Brian Bayo, who you need to be a number 2 starter, was anything but last night, because Garrett Whitlock let you down when you tried to extend him beyond 1 inning. I guess we got our answer on Garrett Whitlock. He's just a 1-inning guy at this point. Don't tell me, though, that like everything's happy-go-lucky and it's all good. Come on. You're not a Red Sox fan if you feel that way. Is that what Red Sox fans have become, Skaz? I hope not. I'm worried. I'm worried that might be what Red Sox fans are becoming. And that would be sad to me. Like, that's not a real Red Sox fan. A real Red Sox fan is going to say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you succeed in this spot? Why isn't this guy good enough? Why did the manager not do this? That's a real Red Sox fan. That's not that. Come on.
Yeah, maybe the swear at the end was appropriate, but other than that, I would have to agree with you. I mean, yeah, you could say you're one Aaron Boone mistake away from being, out in 2 games. Like, that's where you're at. Your offense has been inept outside of, Yoshida and Trevor Story, basically.
So here's the thing. The team isn't good enough. We understand that, and we're going to go through the lineup, and we're going to go through the roster, and we're going to say where they need to get better. But they were up in this series, and the Yankees tried to give you another game last night. And you couldn't take advantage of it because you couldn't play fundamental smart baseball in the end. That's what's frustrating to me. If you want to call in at 617-779-0985 and say, McCarthy, the roster isn't good enough, it needs to improve, and they lost this series because they weren't good enough. Well, I would agree with you that the roster is not good enough and needs to improve. Yes, totally. We understand that. The American League is flawed, and part of the Red Sox success this year is tied into the fact that the competition is as weak as it's been in the American League, and I can remember it in a long time. So yes, that is totally true. But to act like they shouldn't have won this series despite their roster limitations, that's what I just strongly disagree with. It's not like they went out and got their asses kicked in 2 games and you say, hey, listen, they weren't good enough. I can partially accept that because I knew going into the playoffs that the roster wasn't good enough. I knew they had their limitations. You know, the Roman Anthony injury kills them. The Devers trade kills them because they don't have anybody who can hit. You know, you have Roman Anthony and you have Rafael Devers on this team, you're better. Of course you're better. If Lucas Giolito doesn't get hurt at the end of the season, yes, I mean, there are no doubt limitations, some self-created, some self-inflicted, some bad luck, and that's just baseball. You do what you have to do with that. But what makes this so frustrating is the way they're losing. Not the fact that they're losing. That I can accept. Because I know there are limitations. They were good enough to make the playoffs. They won 89 games. They probably deserved to win 88, 89 games. Like, that was about the right number for them. They deserve to be a playoff team, especially given the competition in the American League. But the way they're going down tonight and the way they're going out and the way they went out last night, that's a tough thing to swallow. Defense and fundamentals. Defense and fundamentals. Base running. Coming back to bite this team. That's a hard thing to accept. You know, and you look at coaching, you look at the players, you know, and you say, is this guy capable of winning? And the big discussion coming out of all of this is going to be Jarren Duran, who I would have to, this is probably off the top of my head, went probably 0 for 4 game 1, 1 for 4 game 2. I think he's 0 for 3 tonight. So he's 1 for 11 in this series with a critical error that ultimately helped cost the Red Sox that game yesterday. Had another moment tonight, if you were watching the game, where Giancarlo Stanton hit just a shot that Stanton thought was out and didn't hustle to second base, but Jarren Duran thought was out too, and he didn't hustle after the ball. And he could have held Stanton to a single or could have thrown him out at second base, but he dogged it. He lollygagged it because Jarren Duran isn't in the right headspace right now, isn't in the right place. And ultimately, guys, this is who he is. This is the player that he is. And I've been saying it for a while. He's not the type of player you want to trust in a big moment. And he showed you again tonight why he's not the type of player you want to trust in a big moment. Big moment, big series. And this is why making the playoffs is important. Because I also heard from Red Sox fans say, well, you know, get a better draft pick. Doesn't matter what, you know, whether you make the playoffs. No. You got to find out. You got to figure out who you want to build around and who you don't want to build around. And the answer from this series, resoundingly, has been you do not want to build around Jarren Duran. Is that an unfair take? Is that an unfair argument for me to make, Skaz, that you should not want to build around Jarren Duran at this point?
I don't know how you could come to any other conclusion at this point.
Wake up. Red Sox fans need to wake up on this guy. And trust me, I've heard from all of you. I've heard from the Duran people when I was pounding the table all summer long. Trade him at the deadline, trade him at the deadline, trade him at the deadline. This is why. He's not a winning baseball player. He has limitations. He's fun when he's on. He's electric when he's on. He can hit the ball in the gap and then run for days. You know, nipples for triples. I get it. We all love it when Milliken takes his shirt off. He's not it. He's not it. He's not the guy you want to build around. And he's proven that so far in this series. So we'll continue to react live to this as we move towards the end of the Red Sox season. They trail the Yankees 4-0 in the Bronx right now. Bottom of the 6th inning. The Red Sox offense has just done nothing. The defense has been a disaster. Connerly early competed. He fought. He did what he could. But the contact gave up 5 hits in the 4th. A lot of those were, weak hits. Found the hole type stuff. His defense let him down. And here we are. 617-779-0985. We will get a quick update on the Sports Hub headlines. Let you know how the Bruins did tonight. It's very exciting. We'll let you know how this Red Sox game has gone. And we'll continue with you. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. We're here until midnight reacting to the happenings tonight in the Bronx.
From the Tell Your Time Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
4-run fourth inning for the New York Yankees is the difference so far tonight. We're in the bottom of the sixth in the Bronx. Yankees 4, Red Sox nothing. RBIs for Rosario, Volpe, Wells for the Yankees. As they got to Connerly early, who gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 of those earned. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. He certainly deserved better than that. Red Sox lineup held to 5 hits so far tonight in 6 innings against the Yankees as we trend towards the end of the season for the Red Sox. The Bruins picked up a 3-1 win over the Capitals tonight. How about Riley Tufte with a goal? Brett Harrison with 2. Jonas Korpisalo, 33 saves in the preseason winning effort over Washington. Elsewhere, Thursday night football. The 49ers with a 17-7 lead on the Rams at this point. Patriots were back in the practice field today as they get ready for the Bills on Sunday night. Milton Williams did not practice today with an ankle injury. Carlton Davis is sick. He was a limited participant at practice. Lamar Jackson did not practice for the Ravens for the second straight day with his hamstring injury. Earlier tonight in baseball, Tigers moving on. They eliminated the Guardians 6-3. Cubs beat the Padres 3-1 in the ninth. Headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update in 30 minutes.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app.
Hey, it's hard. They've ruined my fall. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this. Skaz, am I being too tough on them? The season is a success because they made the playoffs, which was the goal for this team. But am I being too tough on them because they did not advance in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to be, the Yankees equal. They're supposed to be the big bad Boston Red Sox, and they haven't felt that way in a long, long time. They're supposed to have power bats in the lineup. They're supposed to, instill fear in opposing pitchers. They don't do any of that. You're lucky if Yoshida and Trevor Story can slap a few singles out there, and then maybe you give it over to Whitlock and Chapman and you have a shot. Yeah, I think they do deserve to be criticized because what the Red Sox have become is happy to get into the playoffs. You trade Rafael Devers. We're going to have people calling tonight and say, they really missed Devers tonight. The same people that told us, when they went on that tear in the middle of the season that it was because they traded Devers. So you can't have it both ways. You needed to get rid of Devers, but you also needed to replace him with something of an adequate MLB bat, which they never did. Lo Vaughn is not that. Nate Eaton and Nick Sogard are certainly not that. Rafael has been a 0 in this series. Duran has been a 0 in this series. They're closer to the Cleveland Guardians than they are, the Boston Red Sox I grew up watching. And that's the frustration there is that you're supposed to be competing with the Yankees with Judge and Stanton and, Rodon and Fried. And you have Garrett Crochet, and that's great. It's nice to have an ace. But after that ace and outside of Alex Bregman, that's it. That's all you got.
So I go back to 2021 when they were ahead of schedule, right? And they had a great season and they went to the ALCS and everything was feeling good and you felt positive about the future. And if you're a Red Sox fan, you should feel positive about the future. They have undeniably taken steps forward this year. So should you be happy about that? Yes. Is the season ultimately a success because you got to where we expected them to go? You got to where you needed them to go? Yes. That does not mean, though, that anything is guaranteed. The same way it was not guaranteed after 2021, where they went in the crapper and didn't make the playoffs for 3 years. So we do need to keep that in mind. Should you feel positive about the direction of the Red Sox? Of course you should. And you get another reason tonight. Early pitched well. He's not a stud, but he pitched well. And, for a kid who's basically never been in the big leagues before, 4 starts, his 2 road starts in minor league ballparks. What he gave you tonight was more than you possibly ever could have imagined. So you'll take that. There are some positive things to talk about there. That does not mean, though, that is a guarantee that you are now off to the races. And I think you hit on an important thing there, Skaz. This team still has a long way to go, and they need the big stars at this point. They took a step forward this year for sure. They traded for Crochet and deserve a ton of credit for that. They overpaid for Alex Bregman. In the end, that move worked out well. Now the question is, will you overpay to keep him if he does opt out? Trevor Story can opt out. My guess is he probably won't, but are you then going to re-sign Story or spend a lot of money to replace Story? Like, these are the questions we now need to ask. Are you going to be aggressive and consummate a trade for Joe Ryan this offseason? I kind of think that you will. I don't think you're going to have to give up Peyton Tolley, and actually Connolly Early's emergence maybe makes the Ryan trade a little bit more possible this offseason. But are you going to spend big-time money on the market? Pete Alonso, Kyle Tucker, legit middle-of-the-order impact bats. That is what this team needs. Are you going to do that, or are you going to rest on your laurels and say, well, we had a good season. The season was a success. Hey, even Matt McCarthy says the season was a success, so it's got to be a success. And, oh no, we're just going to hand things over to the kids. And, well, if Roman Anthony's healthy, we'll be fine. And if Marcelo Meyer's healthy, we'll be fine. No. Can't do that. Nope. Cannot do that. Bad news. So that's what I want to see. This team needs to double down on this season and be extraordinarily aggressive this offseason because there are building blocks here. And you learned about those building blocks, good and bad, in this series. A series that undeniably you should have won if you could have played fundamental baseball. And we're talking about it like it's over. No, it's still 4-0, but the Red Sox are down 4-0 in the seventh, and they can't hit. They can't hit. Cam from Walpole is still on the mound, which is not great. Yikes.
Can I just push back a little bit on the season being a success?
Yes.
Doing exactly what you're supposed to do, to me, is not really a success. That's just doing the bare minimum almost.
Okay.
That was their expectations going in this year, was to make the playoffs. And if you want to tell me it's a success because they traded Devers, they dealt with injuries, they brought a lot of the young kids up, okay, that I can get behind. You learned about Tolley, you learned about Early, you learned about Harrison. Like, Roman Anthony's going to be a guy, but you're still a ton of question marks on this roster. And so for the players, if you want to tell me for the players they had on the roster it was a success, yes, I would agree with that. But Craig Breslow, who had a very good offseason, acquiring Chapman, Narvaez, Crochet, had one of the worst trade deadlines that I can remember. Bringing in Dustin May, who sucks. Walker Buehler sucked. Who wasn't at the deadline, but still sucked. Steven Matz, I guess, has been okay. Fine. Nathaniel Lowe was good for 4 days. They did what they were supposed to do and make the playoffs, but I don't know if they succeeded. I need more. I can't have the Boston Red Sox making the playoffs being a success, because then John Henry and Craig Breslow, their method, how they think baseball should work, wins. And I can't have that. So for me, failure.
Okay, so I don't think it's a failure. A failure would have been missing the playoffs.
I can agree with that.
So I think the way you put it, Skaz, is you accomplished the minimum of what was expected for you. And listen, that is something we have not been able to say about the Red Sox for the last 3 years. Making the playoffs also in baseball, in this quality American league, and in when you've got a 6-team playoff format in each league, it is not what it once was. So I get that. I understand that. That being said, for a team that was so bad for so long, I mean, the last 3 years leading up to this, let's not act like what they did. And I think there are some Red Sox fans who are okay with it. It's like, oh, well, you're developing the farm system. It's okay if you go 81-81. No. This team, though, sometimes you do have to take a baby step. And for a team with a whole bunch of guys who had never played meaningful baseball in their lives, getting to October is a baby step. I think it's a meaningful baby step, but a baby step nonetheless. You want to say that the Red Sox should be better? Of course the Red Sox should be better. The Red Sox should have been better from 22 to 24. The Red Sox should be better going back to 2019. Yes, Skaz. I agree with that. I couldn't agree more. The Boston Red Sox should be held to a higher standard. That being said, you made the playoffs, and now it is World Series or bust. because you have to improve this team. You've gotten your answer on Duran. I'd argue as Wilyer Abreu strikes out again, I'd argue you've gotten your answer on Wilyer Abreu, who's fat, out of shape, keeps getting hurt, 5 injury list stints since he's come over to the Red Sox organization, and is a platoon player. I think you've gotten your answer on both of your corner outfielders.
I also think the other outfielders are terrified of Wilyer Abreu running into them at full speed at this point.
He's not the headiest outfielder. He's a very talented outfielder because he's got a cannon for an arm, and he covers good ground and all that. Like, he is a solid outfielder. He's a better than solid outfielder. He also doesn't really know what he's doing out there, which is his one limitation. Physically, he's a really good outfielder. The limitation is mentally, he has no idea what the F he's doing.
He's not exactly graceful out there, I would say.
No. I mean, it's not. J.D. Drew was a graceful outfielder. Wouldn't say he was the best outfielder of all time. He ain't Mookie Betts. He's not Dwight Evans. That's for sure. So I hear you. Is the Red Sox season a success or a failure given that they made the playoffs and now they're about to go out? Now, the way they're going out in the playoffs, that's a failure. That is an organizational failure. You can't hit because you traded your best hitter for nothing. Organizational failure. You can't field. You haven't been able to field for years. Organizational failure. You have employed a third base coach all year long who has repeatedly screwed you over. That is a organizational failure. I would also note that the Red Sox outfield defense has been awful in this series. Skaz, do you know who the Red Sox outfielding coach is?
I do not.
That would be Kyle Hudson, your third base coach. So a real banner series for that jackass.
Looks like we need a new third base coach and a new outfielders coach.
First guy to go. He's got to be gone. Who goes first, Kyle Hudson or Jarren Duran?
Yeah, just leave them both in New York.
Ship them both. I hope San Diego's great for you. Boy, isn't Jarren Duran a San Diego Padre? A team, by the way, that I know everybody loves and they think has really accomplished nothing, ever. I mean, even in the last few years when they've spent a lot of money and they've brought in a whole bunch of star players, they've accomplished basically nothing. Once you get to October, that team doesn't win. Jarren Duran is a perfect fit for that Padres team. Just a big name, overrated player, a guy who's actually not a winner. Enjoy San Diego, buddy. Beautiful weather. He'll be great. He's gonna have a great time out there. Low pressure market. It's a perfect spot for Jarren Duran. And they love him, which is crazy because when you watch this guy play, really, like in the end, he's not a very good baseball player. And I've been trying to tell you that for a while. I don't want to do the I hate to say I told you so and do a victory lap on Duran, but Skaz, I've been doing it for a long time on Duran. I've been trying to tell you about this guy. He's not the real deal. Last year was a nice year. They missed an opportunity. They should have traded him last offseason when he was worth the most he'll ever be worth in his career. Because it's certainly not that now. You're not getting a number 2 starter for Jarren Duran based on what he has shown you this year, which is that he is a platoon player who can't field and is definitely not cut out for the big moment. As he showed you last night, as he's shown you again tonight, by dogging a ball in left field on just a rocket hit by Stanton, should have held him to a single or thrown him out at second base. But Duran didn't track the ball, dogged it, whatever he did. He's not in the right spot. Duran not in the right space to be an impactful baseball player in meaningful baseball games. And here we are. Red Sox trailing 4-0, bottom of the 7th inning. We have Greg Weissert on the mound, which tells you everything you need to know. 617-779-0985 will continue. Phone lines are open. If you want to react early before the game's over, you're more than welcome to. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray tonight on a night where the Red Sox season almost certainly is coming to an end.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5.
right. Schlittler, Walpole's finest, just shoved. 7 innings, shutout ball, 24-year-old kid throwing fastballs right down the middle all night long, and the Red Sox could not hit it. And when I say shoved, Skaz, I'm not talking about the knob end. I'm talking about the barrel end. That's what he did to this Red Sox lineup tonight, which we know is not good enough. We all understand that. So they obviously need to get better this offseason. They need to get real hitters, real middle-of-the-order impact hitters. We knew that going into this series. And it's frustrating to me that they had an opportunity to win this series last night, and they blew it. Not because they couldn't hit, not because they had a talent problem, not because they were limited, not because their roster wasn't good enough. That's not the reason they did not advance in this series. That's the reason they're not winning this game tonight. That has nothing to do with last night. Last night, they could not play fundamental baseball. And tonight, actually, in the 4th inning, they could not play fundamental baseball. But the talent disparity or the talent deficiencies on this roster have certainly shown up more so tonight than they did last night, than they did on Tuesday night. When you have Garrett Crochet on the mound, and there's certainly no talent deficiency there, when you have Garrett Crochet on the mound, you can win pretty much any game, no matter how good or bad your lineup is, because that guy is that good. I thought the Red Sox would potentially be able to get away with it in this series because you need to win 2. And they won 1 simply because of Garrett Crochet. And they could have won last night. And Alex Cora tried to manage it aggressively last night to win because he knew last night was his best chance. He knew he had a pitching matchup disadvantage coming into tonight. By how much, I guess we really found out. I mean, Schlittler is he's still on the mound. This dude is still on the mound. This is the 8th inning. Kid's at 101 pitches. And you know what? Good for Aaron Boone for not introducing that Yankees bullpen, for sending this kid back out there again because the Red Sox are deflated and they know they can't hit him. So actually, Aaron Boone's getting this one right. You send this kid out there at least until he gives up a hit or gives up a base runner, as Romy Gonzalez just swings through a cut fastball that made Romy Gonzalez look like he doesn't belong in the big leagues, which frankly he's looked like in this series. Here's a second guess for Cora. Sogard should have been in this game tonight over Gonzalez. But the bigger second guess, before I get to you, and I see on the phones, we'll make sure to take care of you during the game and after the game at 617-779-0985, is Alex Cora managed last night so aggressively. And Skaz, I was on with Joe. I defended how aggressively Cora managed that game last night. He did not do the same tonight. He did not do it. And that is a fair second guess. The Anthony Volpe hit in the 4th inning is ultimately the hit that put this game away for the Yankees. That should not have been Early's batter. It should not have been. As Romy Gonzalez just swung about 7 feet out of the effing strike zone, that guy has been worthless. I'm sorry. Get Romy Gonzalez out of my face, if you don't mind. Anyway, Alex Cora managed the game so aggressively last night, did not do the same tonight, did not go to Slayton for Volpe. That was a big-time mistake for a manager who it felt like decided he was going for it all last night and said, well, I can't go for it tonight. Of course you can go for it tonight. Yeah, your bullpen's, a little bit overworked, but you're going to send a kid out there who, oh my God, is he okay? See that flip? That was a hell of an effort. What a catch. That was borderline Jeter-esque going into the dugout. Total front flip as Duran foul pops out again because Duran is even more worthless than Gonzalez. That was a hell of a play from McMahon. I mean, head over heels into the Red Sox dugout. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. It's the flashing lights. It's a very Joe Murray style experience here for me, Skaz. Something happens and I say, ooh, what was that? Cora did not manage this game aggressively enough tonight. Slayton for Volpe in the 4th inning is the second guess. You have to look at that. To you, 617-779-0985. Let's go to Gabe in Worcester. Hey, Gabe.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
So, I get frustrated when I watch this team, right? After you got 2 injuries, we got the Lowell Spinners out there playing baseball in the playoffs. It's embarrassing. So my question to you is, what off-season moves do we need to see to get some better consistency, even when Romy and Marcelo and Casas come back.
Casas?
You know, yes, I like them. I know you don't. I do.
Gabe, if you're counting on Tristan Casas, your problem's right there. I mean, the guy ripped his knee up in about a million different ways. Do not count on Tristan Casas next year. So that actually gets into the answer. What do they need? They need Pete Alonso. So we'll find out how serious the Red Sox are. I mean, Skaz, you're going to have to overpay for Pete Alonso. It's just the way it is. He's an older player. He's a first baseman, but they need a right-handed power hitter. They need a first baseman. Casas is not going to be the answer in the future. Certainly not next year. You can't count on Casas to ever give you anything ever again coming off of that injury, let alone his disappointing performance in the last 2 seasons. So before Casas got hurt, he was worthless to this team, and his trade value was pretty much nothing. So listen, did I believe in Casas coming out of the minor leagues? I did. But I've seen enough in the big leagues to say this is no guarantee, especially coming off of the injury. So what this team needs is Pete Alonso. I mean, he's the number one target for them. He is a perfect fit. First baseman, power hitter, middle of the order bat. The only problem is you're going to have to overpay for him. You're going to have to do what you did with Bregman this offseason. So that will instantly test whether or not the Red Sox are serious about competing. I do think in some ways, the organization has gotten a little bit of a bad rap this year. People say, well, they don't spend money. They don't spend money. They are a luxury tax team. They did sign Garrett Crochet, who's basically never pitched before, to a $180 million contract extension. They did sign Alex Bregman. They did overpay for Alex Bregman, $40 million a year. Now, granted, it's a short-term deal, so it's not the big 7-8 year deal. They did not sign Juan Soto. I get that. I understand that. But I think like your instant they don't spend money thing, I understand why you say it because they went through a number of years where they didn't. They did show you some signs this past offseason that they are now willing to do it again. They then ruined all that goodwill by trading Rafael Devers in a salary dump and prioritizing getting rid of the money over getting a good return. So let's find out how serious you are. You got to go out and spend $330 million this offseason to say, you know what, we did replace Rafael Devers. We just weren't going to be able to do it overnight. We did go out and spend that money. And it starts with Alonso. They need Alonso. He's the number one target. Like, if they don't get Alonso, that's how you judge this offseason. It's actually similar to the Bregman thing last offseason. It's a perfect fit. We all know why it's a perfect fit. The only thing it's going to cost you is money. And you might have to get uncomfortable for a player who's slightly on the older side. You might have to give out a contract that doesn't make a ton of sense. But you're going to have to do it because you need him and you need him desperately. Alonso's the number one target. 617-779-0985. Aroldis Chapman in the game for the Red Sox in the bottom of the 8th inning. Again, they are down 4-0, and they can't hit. Can't hit, can't field. PJ in Haverhill, you're up next with Matt McCarthy. Hey, PJ.
Love the program, Matt. Just wanted to say that. A couple things here. I think our outfield has just let us down this entire series. If you go back last night, you watched Duran. I mean, that's a pretty routine ball right there. Rafaela's read on that ball, that's pretty bad too. And Duran just jogging to that ball tonight kills you. Stanton has 2 bum knees. Like, you got to get him out there. And then Sogard should have been starting tonight, 100%. Duran needs to be gone, long gone. I'm done with it there. The boys need to get Alonso next year. Henry needs to open the wallet there. And the only person that showed up tonight, I think, is Early and Yoshida. Those are the only 2.
Yep, I would trade Masataka Yoshida right now if you can get out of that contract. Ride the hot hand on that one. See, he can hit. He's good. No, Yoshida's been good, and Early competed. So if you're talking about off-season moves, does Early go to Minnesota for Joe Ryan? Would you do that, Red Sox fans? I know he showed you a lot. He showed you poise tonight. In the end, Tolley has better stuff. So if the difference is if it's keeping Early or keeping Tolley, I'm keeping Tolley. As much as I thoroughly enjoy watching Early pitch. But you got to give up something to get something, which I think is an attitude that a lot of Red Sox fans were poisoned by Chaim Bloom with. It's like, well, you can't give up anything. You got to win the deal. No, sometimes you have to make a 50-50 deal. Sometimes you have to give up something to get something. Do the Red Sox win this series if they're able to consummate the Joe Ryan trade? Now, realistically, I don't know whether they were going to be able to. I think, the way the Joe Ryan thing played out is I think the Twins just played Breslow. I think the Twins abused Breslow because Breslow ripped them publicly 3 weeks before the deadline because he thought he had a Duran for Ryan deal done. The Twins got cold feet. They backed out. I think they wanted to, see how the couple series after the All-Star break went. And Breslow came out and publicly criticized them for that. Didn't name the team, didn't point out the Twins by name, but we all knew what he was talking about. So what I think the Twins did is I think the Twins saw that comment and said, all right, you think we were just teasing you now? Now we're really going to tease you at the deadline. And they couldn't consummate a deal because I think the Twins made a big last-minute offer that Breslow balked at, maybe rightfully so, and he walked. And the Twins said no good. But if you do ultimately find a way to get that deal done, do you win the series? Because Joe Ryan's pitching yesterday instead of Brian Bayo, who was embarrassing, who was nowhere near good enough, let the team down. Maybe you do. So you need a number 2 starter behind Crochet. That has not changed. I think we've learned a little something about Brian Bayo again, because you see Brian Bayo in a big moment. You see Brian Bayo in September. You see Brian Bayo when the weather starts getting a little bit colder, and he's not a number 2 starter. So you learn that. That's the value of going to this playoff series, which is why, Skaz, I still argue that in the end, as frustrating as this is, the season is still a success for the Red Sox because they made the playoffs and they had to start somewhere. And they did. And you got your answer on a number of guys. Brian Bayo is not a number 2 starter. Jarren Duran is not a winning baseball player. Now, I might have been able to give you those answers before, but you could have legitimately said, yeah, but you don't know. You don't know until the lights are bright. And that's true. Well, when the lights were bright, Brian Bayo wasn't good enough. When the lights were bright, Jarren Duran was the worst player in the series, or pretty darn close to it. At least worst big-name player in the series. The caller made a great point on the Red Sox outfield. You've learned a lot about this Red Sox outfield in this series. Duran, not a winning player. Wilyer Abreu has been awful. Awful. Not that you've seen that much of him, because they keep platooning him because he's a platoon player. So he's a platoon player who keeps getting hurt because he's typically fat and out of shape. You learn something about him too. Coming off an injury, maybe he wasn't quite ready to come back from the injury, couldn't post because he's not in shape, doesn't hit lefties. Do you want to build around that guy? Yes or no? You learned a little something about the Red Sox outfield. You learned something about the Red Sox lineup. The same way that I also learned a little something about Connerly early tonight. That kid's a competitor, and he knows how to pitch. The same way I learned something about Garrett Crochet on Tuesday night. That guy's a freaking stud. He was a stud all year long, but you see him do that in the playoffs in Yankee Stadium in October. That takes the evaluation up a notch, up a half notch, whatever that thing is. So you learn these things. That's why it's good that they got to the playoffs. It's 2016. It's not 2018. You got to 2016 and you said, Rick Porcello isn't enough. Rick Porcello is not a number 2 starter. He's a number 3 starter. So you go out and you trade for Chris Sale. The question is, will they do that now? Again, think about where the Red Sox were in 2016, coming off of 2 last-place finishes in 14 and 15. Transitional era, you introduce a number of young players, and you say, okay, what do we have here? The evaluation was that core could win. Betts, Bogarts, Bradley, Vasquez, those guys. But the evaluation was you need more. And Dave Dombrowski was the type of general manager who went out and got more. He said, okay, you know what I need? I need an ace. I signed David Price, but maybe he's not that guy. I need to go out and I need to get Chris Sale, which is what he did. And 2018 happens. The team got to the playoffs twice. They failed, and then they learned how to win. So you hope that happens here with this team. You hope they learn how to win. You hope they learn something from this experience. And I just know I've learned a few things about a few guys in this series, which should guide where you're going in the offseason. All right, 617-779-0985. 4-0 Yankees, bottom of the 8th inning. Chapman just got out of it. Runner did get to first base, but that's that. Red Sox have made 2 errors tonight, and they need hits. They need hits. That's not happening with this group. But we'll keep you posted. It's Matt McCarthy. We're doing a preemptive Red Sox postmortem. It will be the official postmortem in, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But we're jumping the gun, as we should. Quick update, then we'll be back with you.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, Red Sox trailing the Yankees 4-0 at the stadium. Bottom of the 8th inning. Actually, we head to the I deserve anything better. But I feel bad for the people out there who deserve better than this. Tyler Milliken deserved a series win, didn't he? You deserved a series win. And you still deserve better from the Boston Red Sox, plain and simple. You do. You deserve better from this team, better from this franchise. This year was better than it had been in recent years, but Skaz is right. They still are not the Red Sox yet. They took a step back towards it, but they're not the Red Sox yet. Is the season a success because they made the playoffs? Yeah. I would argue that it is because that was the expectation. Maybe I shouldn't use the term success. Did the Red Sox meet expectations? Yes. But the way they went down in this series, that's tough to swallow. The way they lost this series, bad fundamental baseball in Game 2, bad fundamental defense in the fourth inning today, and ultimately it's the reason the Red Sox lose this series. I guess, Skaz, we have breaking news.
This is Breaking Sports News, powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
We have a new sounder. How about that? Kind of missed the old one. It's official. Red Sox, their season is over. The 2025 Boston Red Sox season is over. The Red Sox fall to the Yankees in Game 3 of the American League Wild Card Series. 4-0 tonight. 4 runs on 8 hits. 1 error for the Yankees. No runs on 5 hits for the anemic, impotent Red Sox. 2 errors in the field. They drop Game 3. They drop the series. They become the first team in the new format. The first team in the new 6-team per league playoff format to win Game 1 of a wild card series and ultimately lose the series. And what this series ultimately came down to was Game 2 and the Red Sox screwing up that game at the end of that game last night. We look at Jarren Duran. We look at Kyle Hudson. We look at Jarren Duran again tonight. Duran goes 0 for 4. Lollygags dogs a ball. A rocket hit by Stanton off the wall. Could have held him to a single, thrown him out at second base. Anything. Jarren Duran absolutely dogged that one tonight. Duran, undeniably one of the big losers of this series. And the Red Sox ultimately fall in this series. And that's what we'll be doing as the phone lines light up the second the game ends. We're here with you. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray tonight. We're going to keep James Scaramazino busy back there, and we'll hear from you at 617-779-0985. Very simply put, I will just kind of reset my thoughts from the last hour. We have been on for the last hour. We've been, kind of doing a Red Sox pre-post-mortem, which definitely doesn't make any language sense, but work with me on that. A pre-post-mortem. Here's the takeaway, all right? The Red Sox met expectations this year. They met expectations. They made the playoffs. For a team that had not made the playoffs in 3 years, they needed to do it. That was the expectation for them to do it. Vegas had the over-under at 86.5 this year. They won 89 games. They went to the playoffs. They had a 1-0 series lead in the playoffs. Ultimately, though, their lack of fundamental baseball and their lack of talent, in the end, did cost them. Their lack of talent cost them more tonight. Their lack of fundamental baseball cost them more last night. So we can define whether or not the season is a success. Skaz says no. I said yes, and then I'm going to rephrase. They met expectations this season because the expectations were playoffs. But so you can be okay with that. In the big picture, the Red Sox did take a step forward this year. But in the short term, in the small sample, in the moment, you should be livid about the way they lost the series. Maybe in the end, you shouldn't be that upset that they lost, but the way they lost, that's a hard thing to swallow. They had this series won last night, and they effed it up. And they didn't stand a chance tonight. Again, Skaz, finger on the button if you could. I'm going to attempt to pronounce the name, which is a real, again, danger zone. Walpole's own Cam Schlittler. Nailed it. He shoved tonight 8 innings. And when I say shoved, barrel end against an anemic, impotent Red Sox lineup. That's what they are. They lack talent in that lineup, and they've got to improve that thing this offseason. And if you want to call in tonight and say, Matt, they traded Rafael Devers and that helped cost them this series, you've got an argument to make. Yes, they missed Rafael Devers tonight. Yes, they missed Roman Anthony tonight. They got to find middle-of-the-order production. I said Pete Alonso a few minutes ago, we can get into the bigger picture stuff later on, but they've got to find middle-of-the-order production. A step forward for the Red Sox this year, but the way they went out, the way they lost, that's tough. All right, Red Sox postgame officially right now. First place in the city to talk about it, 617-779-0985. We're here until midnight. Thomas in West Roxbury. Thomas.
Hey, what's going on, boys? Obviously not the result we wanted. Before I get into my actual take, Matt, I totally agree with you. Middle of the order production is absolutely what we need. I kind of felt throughout these last 2 games, whenever it was our turn to bat, I felt like, man, I don't know if we have the horses.
Well, they don't.
But
you're right. I don't know if they had. You're right. They don't, Thomas. They don't.
Right. Jumping into my actual take. Overall, big picture, season's over. Given how the series went, do you think the Red Sox underachieved, or do you think that we exceeded expectations overall?
No,
shut up and listen.
No, they met expectations. They definitely did not underachieve. And they definitely did not overachieve either. First call we got tonight was from somebody who basically said the Red Sox overachieved. You can't be mad about that. No, sorry. The expectation was to make the playoffs. They, in the offseason, added an ace. They signed Aroldis Chapman, who was one of the best closers in baseball. They signed Alex Bregman, who's an impact, October-style player, veteran player, who before he got hurt was, a borderline MVP candidate in the American League. So, no, the expectation always was playoffs, and they made the playoffs, so they met expectations. They did not overachieve. They did not underachieve. They achieved. Frankly, if they had gotten to the ALDS with this roster, maybe it would have been a slight overachievement. I made the argument that they were built to win a series like this. I still feel that way, even though they lost, because if you have Garrett Crochet going in game 1, who's pretty much an automatic win, it should set you up for victory. The same way that it has set the previous 14 wildcard series teams up for victory. The Red Sox, again, are the first team in this new format, small sample size, but first team in 15 series to win game 1 and to lose the series. Because what it comes down to is, if you have an ace who can go out there and shove and you can win game 1, you just need to do the bare minimum to win one of the next 2. And the Red Sox last night failed to do the bare minimum, and the talent gap showed up tonight. Their talent deficiencies. And I don't think there's a massive talent gap between the Red Sox and the Yankees, because this Yankees team is flawed and they're not very good. I know they went to the World Series last year, but again, that's a reflection of the competition in the American League. They went through Kansas City and Cleveland to get to the World Series last year. The American League sucked last year, and the American League sucked this year, which is what makes it frustrating that the Red Sox could not do the fundamental minimums to advance. Fundamentally, they were still not good enough. Running the bases, catching the baseball, getting a bunt down. That's what cost them this series. They would have gotten to a point where the talent became an issue. The talent was an issue tonight. It should not have been an issue because you should have won this series last night. Maybe the talent would have shown up in Toronto. I think the talent definitely would have shown up against Seattle if Seattle's ultimately the team that makes it to the American League Championship Series. The talent would have shown up there, and I'm going to tell you right now, the talent's going to would have shown up for the Red Sox and probably will show up for the eventual American League winner in the World Series. The top 5 teams in the National League are better than pretty much anything in the American League. Maybe Seattle's better than San Diego, but other than that, give me the top 4 teams in the National League over anything in the American League. The talent would have shown up eventually. It showed up tonight, but it's the fundamentals. That's why they lost this series. Small picture, fundamentals. Big picture, lack of talent in the middle of that lineup, which is just, oh boy, it's a tough watch. Shocker, by the way, that a team with Romy Gonzalez batting cleanup and Masataka Yoshida, as good as he was batting cleanup, ultimately gets exposed. Your thoughts, 617-779-0985. Gray in Charlestown. Gray.
Hey there. That flexibility really worked out well for the Sox. But, man, I got to tell you, I'm more down on this team than I was, back in June. I feel like the entire outfield for the Sox are not the guys to go with, especially Duran. But, Cedon Raffaello, 0 for 9 or 0 for 10 in this series. Yep. It's clear that these guys don't have what it takes to, make a big impact in games where it counts, even though they're young guys. But to me, they look like they suck.
So great. That is the importance of making the playoffs. And do not discredit that. Do not discount that, which is why, in the end, by meeting expectations and going to the playoffs, you learn something. You learn something about this team. You learn the good and the bad. Again, I go back to 2016, coming off back-to-back last-place finishes. You made the playoffs. You learned that Rick Porcello was not an ace, even though he won the Cy Young that year. You learned he was not an ace in that playoff series. You go out and you trade for Chris Sale next year. You learned that. You learned that because you played October baseball. The same way that you learned, and I'm not surprised that you learned this, that Jarren Duran's not a winning baseball player. He's not. That's been my gut sense. That's been my take on him for quite some time. Do you see it now? Because he's been a polarizing player in this fan base. But I'm telling you, the amount of people I heard from last offseason, the amount of people I heard from this summer, oh, God, you can't trade Jarren. No, he's so important. He's a leader. He's an energy guy. If Jarren Duran's a leader, you got a problem. If Jarren Duran is somebody you're counting on, you've got a problem. And you found out that you have a problem in this series. You got a problem on your hands. Unfortunately, his trade value is not what it was a year ago. You got to move on. You got to move on. It's going to be better off for that team. It's going to be better off for that clubhouse. You can't count on the guy. I wish him the best. I hope San Diego's an awesome spot for him. I think San Diego will be an awesome spot for him. You got to move on. You learn something about Jarren Duran in this series. He's undeniably the biggest loser coming out of this thing. Like, he showed his true colors. That's who he is. The drop last night, dogging it tonight, goes 1 for 12 in the series. That's off the top of my head, but I think it's 1 for 12. Had one hit last night, probably went 0 for 4 the other 2 nights. So you learned something about Jarren Duran. I'd argue you learned something about Wilyer Abreu in this series. Again, kind of out of shape, keeps getting hurt, 5 injury list stints in his time in Boston, and a platoon player. They won't play him against lefties. You learned something about him, too. I'll keep Rafaela because he's such a good defender, and I know Abreu's a good defender, but I don't know, something like Rafaela you'll play both days. If you're not going to play Abreu, so it's like, oh yeah, he's a good defender 70% of the time when he's out there. It's like that. I'm good with that. So yeah, you learn something about those guys for sure. That's the value of making the playoffs. You early and often tonight. We'll take care of you until midnight. John in Malden. Hey, John.
Matt McCarthy, it's so great to talk to you, man. Someone who loves baseball as much as I do.
Thanks, John.
Now, as one of the biggest Yankee fans in the Boston area, I don't see what everybody's so upset about if you're a Red Sox fan. They really weren't that good this year. They weren't.
No,
I mean,
they weren't. But the rest of the American League wasn't either, John. So
I understand.
I agree with you on that. Yes, I agree.
Okay, but I mean, a team that goes into a 3-game playoff series, Matt, and has to pull their starter in Game 2 after 2 1/3 innings, and in Game 3 starts the youngest guy since Babe Ruth. Mm-hmm. How good are you actually, really?
No, John.
You know what I mean?
I'm totally with you on that. Yes. No, the talent, there's a lack of talent on this team. Now, part of that is luck. You know, I mean, you feel a little better if Giolito's starting tonight. Yes, I get that. You know, your lineup is better if Roman Anthony is not hurt, doesn't pull an oblique against Cleveland, 4 weeks ago. Like, yeah, so I hear you on that. But you still should be frustrated as a Red Sox fan because, John, and thank you for the call, and I appreciate that, the kind words, but you were up 1-0 in the series and in Game 2, and you lost Game 2 because you weren't fundamentally good enough. So you're totally right on the talent thing, but in a short series format, the Red Sox had as good a chance as the Yankees. They did, or very close to it, because Garrett Crochet started Game 1, and he's pretty much an automatic win. And you were right in the middle of Game 2, and you tried to manage your way around it. You tried to be aggressive, and maybe it would have paid off if you could, I don't know, run the bases. If you could get a bunt down. That's not a talent thing. That's a fundamental thing. So if this were a 5-game series or a 7-game series, John, the talent makes way more difference. Way more difference. And you are right. The Red Sox are not good enough. I think everybody who would call in tonight would agree with that. You can't be in a 3-game series. If you're going to say, is your team really good enough? Well, Romy Gonzalez is your cleanup hitter. Like, yeah, I get that. You are right about that. But they had the advantage in this series, and they blew it. They blew it last night. Tonight, the talent showed up. Last night, it didn't. Not as much. 617-779-0985. One open phone line. Grab it. We're here until midnight. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. The Red Sox post-mortem as it goes final in the Bronx. Yankees with a 4-0 win. 2025 Red Sox season is over. Your reactions And, yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad. They hurt me. They did it to me again. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy here on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more. Felger and Maz. Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox season is over. They followed the Yankees 4-0 tonight. Cam Schlittler went 8 innings. 8 innings. Shutout innings. Red Sox ultimately lose this game. Their season is done. Yankees advancing to face Toronto in the ALDS. Bruins, a 3-1 preseason win earlier tonight over the Capitals. Thursday night football. Niners trying to hold on against the Rams. They lead 23-20 late in the fourth. Milton Williams did not practice today with an ankle injury as the Pats get ready for Buffalo on Sunday. Headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update, 30 minutes.
Boston Talk Sports.
Drake May. We all know what, but we won't say what. Yeah, worst take on these airwaves in the last 24 hours.
We may not take a call today.
The Sports.
Night in Boston, a very disappointing night for the Red Sox. Disappointing night for baseball, which had obviously built some momentum back here in this town. And I hope that momentum continues through this offseason. So let me just say this before I get back to you, because this is your night as much as it is mine. I love the Red Sox. Obviously, they kicked me in the balls again tonight, but hey, that's what the Red Sox do. That, I feel alive, Skaz. When the Red Sox disappoint me, nothing makes me feel more alive. That's what I was told as a kid growing up. Hey, son, they're always going to disappoint you. Well, they disappointed me again tonight. They really disappointed me more last night. This is really about last night. It's not necessarily so much about tonight. But I'll just say this before I get back to you. Do not let them get complacent. Because, yes, they met expectations this year by going to the playoffs. There were some really positive things that happened for this team. Undeniably, they've got talent issues left, but there were some positive things that happened. Garrett Crochet's a stud. They have legitimate building blocks. Roman Anthony, everybody in baseball would be envious of Roman Anthony. They made the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, and the arrow appears pointed up. I think that is a fair thing to say. We will rip the Red Sox for the way they lost this series, but undeniably the arrow is pointing up for this franchise. But do not let them get complacent because of that. I remember where we were 4 years ago when they were ahead of schedule, and they were the first to admit it when they went to the ALCS. Where, again, things go a little bit differently. Things, they barely squeaked by the Yankees. They barely squeaked into the playoffs that year, but they got by the Yankees in the wild card game. They beat the Rays. They went to the ALCS. This season could have played out very similarly. If you just are a better fundamental baseball team, you're a little bit better last night, you win that game, you win the series, you're going to Toronto against a team that's no better or no worse than you, to be totally honest, a team that also doesn't have a number 2 starter. And maybe you win that series too. And maybe you're going to the ALCS and it's exactly the same as 2021. I kind of view those seasons similarly, even though the results are slightly different. But listen, there isn't too much to separate between those two things. But remember how you felt then. You said, hey, the arrow's pointing up. That's good. We're trending in the right direction. We've got a good young GM who cares about the farm system. And here you go. And all right, we're building something. Then they went in the crapper for 3 years, all right? So don't just assume. Nothing is guaranteed. I feel good about it too, but nothing is guaranteed. We must, as a fan base, hold their feet to the fire this offseason. They have to improve this team. They need to make up for the Devers trade by going out and spending the Devers money and getting impact bats to replace Devers in the lineup. If you want to say he needed to go, you could still make that argument here tonight. They were a better regular season team without Devers. They're obviously the lack of Devers' presence in the lineup hurt them tonight and killed them tonight and killed them in the series. Of course it did. We all knew it was going to. I was on the night they traded him. I said the exact same thing. Now they need to replace him. And if they don't replace him, if they don't go out and sign Kyle Tucker or sign Pete Alonso or do that thing, if they don't get a real legitimate bona fide middle of the order bat and don't spend that money, then you can rip the hell out of them. Don't let them get away with it. They have to be aggressive. And the one thing I will say in comparison to 2021, say what you will about Craig Breslow, who undeniably had a disastrous trade deadline. It was awful. I don't think it's because he didn't intend to do anything. I think it's because he wasn't competent enough to do anything. I think he wanted to be aggressive. I think he wanted to trade Peyton Tolley for Joe Ryan. I think he wanted to do that. But he was too incompetent and didn't realize that the Twins were playing him. So he walked away with nothing and as a result left this team short, which you saw tonight. I do think he's more interested in being aggressive, and I do think he wants to improve this team this offseason. So I do feel better about Breslow in this spot than I did about Bloom in that spot. But do not let them have a repeat of 21 into 22. Don't do it. They have to take advantage of this. They have to build on this. because they did build up by going to the playoffs and by having a fun, entertaining season. And it was up and down. They did start to bring some of you back. They have to capitalize on that. They got here. They lost. They shouldn't have lost in the manner that they lost. And now it's go time. 617-779-0985. A lot of ways you can go tonight, however you want to do it. Let's go to, how about Mike in Canton? I think longest order of wait here. Hey, Mike.
Matt, I couldn't agree with you more. This is a double-A lineup. The GM failed at the deadline. I mean, looking forward, even at the deadline, what did Seattle get for Suarez?
Nothing. They basically give up nothing for Suarez and for Naylor.
Okay.
Yep.
So you get Suarez in the lineup with Roman. The Roman Anthony injury you didn't expect. Mm-hmm. So even with Suarez and Bregman in the lineup, you're still looking at a decent lineup with Yoshida batting, what, sixth?
Yes. Yep, exactly.
Okay. Right. So he failed there. Okay. This is the Boston Red Sox. We're not looking just to get into the wild card round. We're talking about ALCS.
It's time to prove it. And I got to let you go on that, Mike, because we got a lot of people coming up, but thank you. It's a good call. Yeah, you got to prove it. Prove that you're the Boston Red Sox now. They needed to take this step. For a team, and this is where I will say that they met expectations. For a team that really was pretty bad for 3 years and allowed a losing culture to seep in, the fact that they got here and lost, that hopefully is good for them eventually. Like, I do buy into that thing. Like, they did need to take the small step before taking the big leap. I buy into that thing. I believe that thing. So they met expectations. But you're right. They didn't improve the team enough. Now it's time to prove it. I mean, if you're not all in this offseason, if you're not, dare I say it, full throttle this offseason, I will be the first person with pitchforks over on Jersey Street this offseason. You have to do it. It's a double-A lineup. You got to improve it. The arrow's pointing up. It's go time now for this team. Patrick in New York. Hey, Patrick.
They got to get rid of Hudson tonight. I mean, it's the second time this season he's had a problem with waving guys in from third base. Anybody who's played T-ball knows that Eaton has to go home there. It's been a disaster. I agree with you about what you were saying about Breslow, but I think as a city we do have to say that Heimblum did do a pretty decent job. I'm excited for Narvaez down the road. I hate this so much. This is terrible. But yeah, I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, Matt.
So I can't excuse away the fact that you weren't in the playoffs for the last 3 years, and I can't now say, well, Bloom did a good job. Yeah, he drafted some good players. Yeah, he did. He drafted Roman Anthony. That's amazing. We'll see about Marcelo Meyer. All right, we'll see about Christian Campbell. But yeah, he drafted Roman Anthony. That is obviously an incredible coup. But you can't, as the Boston Red Sox, if we're going to hold them to that standard, you can't go 3 years without making the playoffs. So the amount of damage that was done over the last 3 years, the way I look at this season is they started to repair some of that damage. But you can't stop now. You can't stop. You have to go. It is go time for this franchise, plain and simple. How about Kevin in San Francisco? Hey, Kevin. Oh, and real quick, Kevin, before I get to you, you're so right about Kyle Hudson, who not only was bad last night, was bad against the Orioles, had a terrible, terrible moment in Tampa Bay, 2 terrible moments in Tampa Bay in the same game where he actively tried to cost them that game. Final week of the season, I don't know how many people watched it, had a terrible send, actually physically grabbed Bregman to try and throw him back on the bag, which is illegal. You can't do that. The umpire didn't see it, but Bregman should have been called out because the coach doesn't know the rules and does not know how to coach third base. So again, let's see how serious you are. Now it's accountability time. The thing about making the playoffs is you're going to learn something about these guys. I've learned Jarren Duran's not a winning player. Admittedly, I kind of already knew it before, but we've all learned it now. He's got to go. I've learned Kyle Hudson can't be your third base coach, so he's got to go. So you have to fire Hudson to create a culture of accountability. Like, that's easy. Fire the third base coach. You're not firing the manager. You're not firing Andrew Bailey after the year he had. Maybe you fire Fatsy, but honestly, that'd probably be unfair. That's a double-A lineup. It's easy. Fire the third base coach to say, we can't do this. Guys, it's go time. That's one of the first things I'll be watching for. Kevin in San Francisco, I'm sorry to put you on hold. Thanks for hanging.
Hey, guys. Matt, good to talk with you. Hey, listen, I understand there's a lot of positives of making it to the playoffs and getting into this, and what we did on Friday was fantastic. But these last 2 games were abject failures. And outside of 5 or 6 pitchers that are on the staff, There is not a player in the field that I would want to keep next year. They're all garbage. And this team needs a complete remake 100%. And if I swear to God, if Romy Gonzalez is on this team next year, I am done watching this team. And I mean that wholeheartedly.
Kevin?
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night. You will not be watching the Red Sox in 2025. You want me to tell you what your second base situation is going to be next year? Get ready for this. Skaz, you ready? Get excited? It's going to be Romy Gonzalez and Marcelo Meyer, and that's going to be a platoon. Alex Cora loves him some Romy Gonzalez. Oh, my God. I just hope, Skaz, someday to find somebody who loves me as much as Alex Cora loves Romy Gonzalez, who was putrid in this series. And Rob Refsnyder, and admittedly, I love Rob Refsnyder. Refsnyder was awful. Their lefty killers were awful in this series. They tried to platoon their way to this thing. You can't. A winning baseball team has one platoon, maybe two, max two. They tried to platoon their way the whole thing, and that's where. And I think Cora, that's a Cora thing, because Cora was a platoon player, so he loves platoon players. Breslow's going to have to step in, and you're right. You do need to overhaul the lineup. They've made progress with the pitching staff. They still need a number 2 starter, but there's a lot of depth there. Like, you need 8, 9, 10 pitchers, starting pitchers, to get through a season. They're pretty close to it. They are. So that's a really good thing to take away from this year. But the lineup, middle of the order. Tell you what. Let's do a very quick exercise. Very quick, because I want it to be about the callers tonight. Let's just run down the list. All right, Skaz, I'm going to give this to you. Just give me a yes or no answer. Do you feel good about this situation next year? Do you feel good about this position next year? Catcher, Narvaez.
Yes.
I do too. First base.
No.
No, not at all. Alonso is their number 1 target. Has to be. Second base, as I said, right now it's shaping up to be a Meyer-Gonzalez platoon.
I don't love it, but if that's the only platoon, you could sell me on it.
Correct. Shortstop, Trevor Story does have an opt-out. Keep that in mind, but I think he'll probably be back. You feel good about it?
I don't love it, but he showed me something this year that I was not expecting.
So, same here. Everybody knows I've been hard on Trevor Story. If he's back next year, if he's healthy, you hope you get something. If you get 80% of what you got this year, you're in good shape. If you don't, well, you do then have Meyer, who's your shortstop in waiting. I feel okay about that. Third base, let's not even address it, because we don't know if Bregman's going to opt out. I don't know if Bregman's going to opt out. The injury is a concern for him. The outfield is where you look at it. Duran, left field. Do you feel good about it?
No.
He's got to go. Got to go. Got to go. If Jaron Duran is on the roster on opening day in Cincinnati in 2026, I'll have a meltdown. Can't do it. Cedar Rafaela. Yes, no?
I lean yes. I still think the upside is there, and defensively, it's tough to imagine, getting any better at that position. Even though you saw some not so great defense in this series, I still think Rafaela is going to be their center fielder next year.
I agree. I'm looking at the larger sample size with him. Again, now I want Rafaela to be my 9-hitter, my 8 or 9 hitter, not my 5-hitter. But yeah, have him play defense. I'm okay with Rafaela. And Wilyer Abreu, I think I'm as down on Wilyer Abreu as I've ever been. He's an injury-prone platoon player. So the outfield needs the overhaul. And then DH Yoshida, I still don't feel good about that. He had a good series, but you need a real legitimate bopper there. So, yeah, that's not they do need a bit of an overhaul there for sure. How about Nate in Detroit? Nate.
Hey, Matt, appreciate you. So I was under no illusions that the Sox team could make any serious noise in the postseason, but I will say Game 1 was such a good reminder of just how amazing playoff baseball is.
Yes.
And then the last 2 games just showed how far away this team really is, like you've been saying. I mean, at the end of the day, with Roman Anthony out, there's not a single batter in their lineup that scares the other team. You're starting majority 4A players like you all just went through, and you only have one legit starter. So, yeah, they didn't play fundamental baseball, and they could have and probably should have won this series last night, but ultimately this team is so far away from being a serious World Series contender. And that was on full display these last 2 nights. So I'm with you. I just hope management sees that too and takes this offseason as seriously as they need to so they can actually compete for a World Series next year. And then I'll just accept this year as their model going forward and just run it back on the cheap. Appreciate you, Matt.
All right, Nate, I think everything you said there was spot on. Please call in again. You know baseball. So tip of the cap to Nate in Detroit. Yes, 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 yes. The only thing I'd push back on, yes, when you run through the roster, you say, wow, boy, they really are that far away. With the assets that they have and the money that they have, they can improve this team pretty quickly overnight. So, like, I've learned a lot about Willie Abreu, but Willie Abreu is still worth something in a trade. I've learned a lot about Jarren Duran. Now, Jarren Duran is not worth what he was worth a year ago, but San Diego is so hot for him. Oh, God, does A.J. Preller love him so much? You're telling me you can't get a couple prospects from San Diego and then flip those prospects for, I don't know, a first baseman somewhere if you don't sign Alonso, or you flip those prospects in a deal for Joe Ryan? Like, there are totally ways the Red Sox can improve this team, and given the state of competition in the American League, which is still awful, and I anticipate will be awful again next year, if they are aggressive and they are bold, there is no reason why they cannot be, on paper, a pennant contender, World Series type contender a year from now, because they do have a couple of truly, truly foundational pieces. Garrett Crochet is a foundational piece. Roman Anthony is a foundational piece. You have an ace and you have a hitter. You have the two pillars of your roster. And you have some pitching depth now. Not, number 2 pitching depth, but you have some depth. They might not be as far off as you think, but they cannot run it back like this. That is obvious. Open phone lines. They've been hard to come by. Grab them right now. 617-779-0985. Red Sox season comes to an end tonight. Was it a success? Yes or no? Did they meet expectations? Yes or no? How far away are they? Are you pissed by this? Are you okay with it? We're here. Little therapy session for us, as the Red Sox have let me down once again. Not good for me, Skaz, either. Not good for my wallet. Red Sox are good for me professionally, I'm going to tell you that. Damn it, you a-holes. We'll continue. It's Pat McCarthy hanging out.
You're listening to Joe Murray.
Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Back to you. 617-779-0985. Ryan in Watertown. Ryan.
Hey, Matt. Big fan of the Joe Show, but I'm very glad you're in tonight. You're definitely the guy for the collapse. Quick context. No one is more tired of Sam Kennedy's lies than me. Usually see about 15 games a year. I saw 0 this year. But going forward, as cringe as I am at the idea of not adding to the payroll, I don't want to give Bregman more money, or Abreu, but any of them. It's just, this feels very lose-lose.
Yeah, the Bregman thing is tough. If Bregman opts out, you see, this team needs him. One of the reasons they were better this year is they overpaid for Bregman. Every time the ball gets hit to the left side of the infield, Bregman and Story scooped it up and they made the play. Like, that's, for a team that still struggles defensively, they struggled on the right side of the infield this year. They struggled in the outfield majorly in this series. I almost wonder if Rafaela got spooked by Abreu the other night. You're playing in a loud environment. Abreu tried to take out Rafaela. Rafaela took a bad route to the ball tonight, which ultimately led to the fourth inning, which was the undoing for early and the Red Sox season tonight. But what I look at this team and I say, like, you do need to pay to keep Bregman around. I hope he doesn't opt out and then you just overpay for him next year. If he opts out, you've got a real tough decision to make, because I think emotionally he's important for that club. This club still lacks maturity. They still lack leadership. They still lack a lot of guys who have been there and done that. They need that thing from Bregman next year almost as much as they needed it this year. The problem is you just can't count on Alex Bregman now with a chronic quad issue to be an impact middle-of-the-order bat. He needs to be baseball's best and highest paid role player. If you really want to look at it that way, you can't count on Bregman to, as he ages with a chronic injury, to be that guy. So if he opts out, that makes the decision real tough on this team, because he's probably worth more to them than he's worth to everybody else. So they kind of need to keep him. But if he opts out, do you overpay? Or do you reallocate that money elsewhere? And are they going to spend the money that they need to spend? Frankly, I hope Bregman makes the decision easy. I hope he doesn't opt out. I don't think it's a guarantee, by the way, that he opts out. That quad injury and the way he looked coming back from it, if I'm a team, for a guy who didn't have much of a market last year, which is why you got him on a short-term deal, is he going to have much of a market this year coming off the quad? I do not think, and I know there's been a lot of bluster from his camp, I don't think it's a guarantee he opts out, which to me is good news for the Red Sox. If you can go to year on him, that is a good thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only thing that, all this talk of Duran and, Romy Gonzalez and the platoons and the third base coach and the defense, another thing this team is sorely missing is durability. Mm-hmm. They don't have guys that are just in there every single night. Bregman was banged up. Story's had IL stints. Abreu feels like he's constantly hurt. And the guys that are constantly in there stink. So they need guys that they can rely on. They just don't have everyday MLB players, which is crazy to say when you're the Boston Red Sox, but they're lacking just normal everyday MLB guys who can go out there for 150 games a year, 145, even that. Like, they just don't have those guys.
Skaz, that might be my favorite take of the night from anybody, because you're right. What's the difference this year? Really, if you're going to break it down, why are the Red Sox different than they've been from 2022 to 2024? Number one reason, Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet made 32 starts, was a horse. Every time he took the ball, you won because he was available. Trevor Story, who you spent $140 million on in the 2022 offseason, basically hadn't played for you for 3 years. He comes out. He sucks for the first 2 months of the year because he hasn't played baseball, and then all of a sudden he turns back into a good player again, which admittedly I did not see coming, but Trevor Story posted and played every day. Bregman got hurt. He did. But he came back probably sooner than he had to because he's a gamer, and I'm not saying he hurt the team, because he didn't hurt the team. He tried to find ways to help the team, but he did not play like a $40 million a year player second half of the year, but his presence meant something to the team. Again, availability. Now, I don't know if I can count on Alex Bregman to play 155 games ever again because he's getting older, and that's just the way it happens. Tristan Casas, hurt. Roman Anthony, who was the difference maker, was not available. Lucas Giolito, who is really good, got hurt again because he was coming off an injury and he obviously couldn't bounce back. He hit that innings limit and was kind of never the same. He was fading. You know, you look at a guy like Garrett Crochet, who, I mean, was pretty much as strong all year as he'd ever been. Like, that's a rare thing. It's the same thing. It's the same argument I'd make about Marcelo Meyer. Like, you might be really excited about Marcelo Meyer. The future's bright. Hey, Marcelo Meyer's going to be our second baseman next year. Let me know the next time he actually plays. Availability. They don't have enough durability. You're right. So that would be the number one thing I would look at, you know, in the offseason is like, all right, how many games does Pete Alonso play? Let me pull up Alonso's stats, and we'll get to you at 617-779-0985. Guys with injury history, got to steer clear as best you can. Matt in Somerville. Hey, Matt.
Hey, McCarthy. Just wondering, would you go after Bo Bichette or a Kyle Tucker in the outfield, or even like a Yastrzemski? I know he's older, but that might be a good addition to the team. I'll hang up and listen.
So I like Bichette a lot as a player. I don't think that's a number one priority because if Story's not opting out, then I think you're good at shortstop. And, you know, you have insurance there with Meyer who, I mean, eventually you have to make a bet that like this guy who they've been hyping up for years can actually play. So no, I don't know if, as much as I like Bichette, he would not be one of my top targets. Kyle Tucker, no doubt, is a top target of mine because I think we now need to reevaluate where this outfield is. This outfield is not as good as I think a lot of people projected it to be. Duran has to go. I would argue, I mean, I think I'm good with Abreu. Again, injury-prone, platoon player. I think I'm good with that. I love the idea of Kyle Tucker. Love Tucker as a player. And Pete Alonso, though, is the number one target this offseason because not only is he a power hitter, but he fills a need. You don't have a first baseman anywhere in this organization. Skaz, would you like Pete Alonso's games played going back to 2019? And we're going to skip over 2020.
Please.
Pete Alonso, 2019, 161 games played.
Good.
2021. Oh, by the way, he played 57 in 2020 when a lot of guys didn't post. 57 out of 60 in 2020. So, all right, from 2021 on, 152, 160, 154, 162, 162.
I'm in on that.
Pay the man. I don't care if he's 31 years old. Pay the man. Perfect fit. Pete Alonso, number one offseason target. You have to get him. Have to get him. I mean, it's like the Bregman thing last year. It's so obvious. That's the move right there and then. You need Alonso, and then you need one more power hitter in the middle of your lineup. The two other impact hitters out there in free agency, Kyle Schwarber and Kyle Tucker. Those are your targets right there. How about John in Taunton? Hey, John.
Hey, McCarthy. Honestly, the thing I'm most disappointed about in this team tonight is got to be the defense. They completely let Early down in that fourth inning, and realistically, we've been complaining about this for the past couple of years. It's like, when are they going to catch up and start teaching these kids to play some defense or get somebody that can play defense? I'm so over it.
Yeah, John, you're totally right. The defense reared its ugly head again tonight, and it's mostly the guys that have come up through this system. Remember, we have the Zach Scott tweet from, talking about a guy hired by Chaim Bloom who went into a minor league meeting, and said, we no longer teach fundamentals. And the guys who have come up during that time all are bad fundamental baseball players. Jarren Duran is a horrific fundamental baseball player. Cedar Rafaela has a lot of natural ability and is a great defender, but fundamentally is lacking. We saw him trying to get a bunt down last night, fundamentally lacking. Wilyer Abreu has all kinds of talent. Like, he's got a cannon for an arm. He moves well out there. Physically, he's a very good outfielder, but he has a tendency to airmail throws. He, again, tried to kill Cedar Rafaela last night. I think we should question his physical fitness and the fact that he keeps getting hurt. So it's like you look at those things and you say, okay, there's some things to like here physically, but fundamentally the guys who have come up throughout the system are not very good defensively. The Red Sox, believe it or not, weren't as bad this year defensively as they've been in recent years. You know why? Because there were two guys from outside the organization, actually three really, who made them a much better defensive team. Trevor Story played this year. He's a good defender at shortstop. He's a good shortstop. Alex Bregman, obviously not a Red Sox guy, really good defender at third base. They were so much better on the left side of the infield this year, and that did matter. That did have an impact. Not having Devers out there made an impact. And Narvaez, outside of his catcher's interferences, because he's so aggressive behind the plate, was really quite good behind the plate. He wasn't developed by the Red Sox. So if the Red Sox want to fix this thing fundamentally, they're going to have to go outside the organization. Here's how I would say it's trending right now, folks. They're doing a good job with their pitching. You know, that's a positive thing to take away from this year. They've got some depth. You know, the Breslow program is working with the pitching staff. You know, they've got 8, 9, 10 guys who you don't have a number 2 right now, so you need to go outside the organization to get that. But you got a lot of 4 and 5 guys, which you need. To get through a season, you need. You know, you have Early. You have hopefully Crawford coming back next year. You have Dobbins. You have, if Giolito comes back, you have Bayo. You've got a million different guys. So I feel okay about their depth at the back end of the rotation. That's a sign that organizationally they're starting to put it together. Totally, obviously, you feel good about. You know, Harrison, I thought actually looked okay, coming over here. Now, I don't think he's going to be a stud, but they've got a whole bunch of guys who I think are major league starting pitchers. So that's one thing. The pitching is good. Position players, fundamentally, they're going to have to look outside the organization for that, because there was about a 5-year stretch where they did not coach fundamentals, and it shows every night defensively with this team. They have to go outside the organization to fix that thing. They have to be aggressive. 617-779-0985. James in Houston. Hey, James.
Yep. Hey, guys. I don't want to talk about what's wrong because you could be here all night, but what's good is you have arguably the best starting pitcher in baseball. Yep. And Roman Anthony is an absolute stud. You have to build around those guys. We got to do the San Diego Padres model. We need to be trading a lot of guys. You need stars in this league. We need multiple stars on offense and in the starting rotation. And let's give it a go next year. We got to beat the Yankees. That's all I got.
So, James, you are totally right. It's time to start cashing in some of the assets, cashing in some of these players. They have obviously devoted the last 5 years to developing the Wilyer Abreu's and the Jarren Durans and the Cedon Rafaelas of the world. That has been the entire existence for the Red Sox. Not to mention Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, the farm system, the young guys. It can't just be all those guys. Now you need to take a good hard look. And Breslow going into year 3, a lot of these guys he did not bring into the organization. It's time to really take a good hard look at who needs to go. Jarren Duran needs to go. Needs to go. He's not worth what he was last year. He'll still get you something. Something that you can then maybe turn around and flip to the Twins for Joe Ryan. Or flip in a trade for a first baseman if you don't get Alonso. Wilyer Abreu, I'd take a real hard, long look at this point. Tristan Casas, you're not going to count on here anymore. I'd still, if there's a deal to be made with Marcelo Meyer, I'd make a deal with Marcelo Meyer. If I'm getting, Joe Ryan. If the Twins ask for Marcelo Meyer for Joe Ryan, take him. You want him to be the centerpiece or close to it in that deal? Good. Make that happen. It's time to make hard decisions for the betterment of the team, because the caller's right. They have the biggest pieces, which is no small thing to, it's nothing to sneeze at. They have the biggest pieces. They have an ace. They have a guy who I think is going to be an MVP candidate someday in baseball. That's how good he is in Roman Anthony. Now it's time to get the rest. How about Matt in Charlestown? Hey, Matt.
Hey, a couple things. Great show.
Thank you.
First off, you're talking about guys with durability and, power. Devers just played 163, and he would have looked good out there in Game 2 or tonight. First piece. Second piece, Joe Ryan would have looked good out there too. We hang on to these young guys who are fringe players, and then we hang on to them for too long. We held on to Dahlbeck for too long. We're hanging on to Abreu for too long. We're not going to get anything for him. We held on to Casas for too long. We're not going to get anything for him. We held on to Durant for too long. We had a shot to win the AL this year, and they blew it because they were trusting the young guys. Same thing's going to happen with Meyer. Same thing's going to happen with whoever's coming up next. I'm just very frustrated. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. You should be frustrated. You should be. They made progress this year. They met expectations this year, and it was there for the taking. Guys, this Yankees team is not very good. The American League is not very good. You know how I know this Yankees team isn't very good? Because if you could fundamentally play baseball last night, you would have beat them, and Romy Gonzalez was your freaking cleanup hitter. So that's how I know the Yankees aren't very good. Because it took them everything to beat you in this series, and you don't have enough, as we've just talked about. So it was there for the taking, and you effed it up. You effed it up last night. Kyle Hudson, gone, fired. I should be hearing about that this week. We're going to be making a move there. Kyle's not going to be returning next year. We wish him well. Yep, thank you. Go get a third base coach who can actually coach third base. At the winter meetings, I should be hearing about how A.J. Preller's finally gotten his binky and Jaron Duran. That's what I should be hearing about. And it's a thank you for everything, Jaron, but hey, we found out you're not a winning baseball player, because he's not. I think that's pretty obvious. How about Derek in Florida? Derek.
Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah, so I completely agree with everything you guys are saying. I'm pissed off, too, with everything that happened tonight, especially, obviously it's the Yankees. Your number 2, though, Dylan Cease is out there. He proved himself this year. Pete Alonso, you got to get him. Cassis is not worthy of really anything. I think you got to re-sign Bregman and Story, and I agree with you guys. Get rid of Cassis, Duran, and Campbell. See what you can get for him. Some good bullpen help. And maybe, possibly a really good number 3 starter and see where it takes us.
Yeah, Casas is pretty much untradeable at this point, to the point where I wouldn't even trade him. You're going to get nothing for him, so hopefully he comes back, and just you can't count on him ever again. And if you're counting on the Red Sox spending big-time money in free agency on more than one player, that's probably unrealistic. Now, I want them to spend it on 2 big-time players because I think they need 2 big-time hitters and then a trade for Joe Ryan. Are you a better team? Yes. But even let's be honest. Should they do it? Yes. The way they've approached business for the last 5 years, I don't think they are going to spend money on 2 big-time free agents. One is, let's start with Alonso and let's go from there. And by the way, though, I will say this. If there's something you can get excited about and feels realistic, I feel very strongly that they will consummate the Joe Ryan trade this offseason. It came that close at the deadline. It's kind of similar to the Crochet thing this year. They have now proven that somebody like Early has value. They didn't want to give up Tolley. They offered Tolley at the very end. The Twins still said no because I think they were just trying to F around with the Red Sox and make Breslow pay for his comments about them 3 weeks before the deadline. But in the end, I think a deal gets done. They probably don't give up Tolley, and because of what Early showed, kind of coming out of nowhere, maybe the Twins say, because that's a sellable guy to the Twins fan base now. You can say, hey, we just traded an all-star pitcher, but you see that kid Early? He competed in Game 3 in Yankee Stadium, which he did tonight. The Red Sox let Connerly Early down tonight. I think that's pretty obvious. 617-779-0985. I see on the phone lines. We'll take care of you. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Don't go anywhere. We'll get to you.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox season is over. They fall to the Yankees 4-0 tonight in the Bronx. Yankees moving on to the ALDS. McCarthy hanging out with Joe Murray tonight. I'm back tomorrow night, too, and we can do a real deep dive on the way this all went down, what's coming up for the Red Sox moving forward. We'll also probably get into Mac Jones's performance tomorrow night, too, over the course of 4 hours. I can't believe... I mean, really, it's 2021 all over again. The Red Sox are, the arrow's pointing up after a disappointing end, and Mac Jones in my life. It's deja vu. I just hope it doesn't end the same way for the Red Sox, who went in the tank after, obviously a good 2021 season. He said, the future's bright. You know what? The future might be bright. Hold their feet to the fire. This team obviously was not good enough, and fundamentally, I mean, it was just a mess. Just a mess as to why they lost this series. They lost this series because of the fundamentals in the end, but when you look at the roster as a whole, you say you need to improve this thing. Real quick, Skaz, let's just make I'm just going to give you a name. Trade or don't trade. Very simple. Give me a yes or no answer. Jarren Duran.
Trade.
Willie Abreu.
Don't trade yet.
But open to trade.
Open to trading at the deadline for sure.
Okay. Cedar Rafaela.
Don't trade.
Christian Campbell.
I would trade, but if you're telling me he's in the outfield next year instead of Jarren Duran to start off the season, maybe I'm okay with that if you're going to sell me on that. But it's Campbell at least seemed like when he went down, he improved. Obviously, we didn't see him again really, but it did seem like he was lighting it up there, and hopefully, that was a wake-up call.
So I'll tell you what I've heard on Campbell from Worcester. Bat was okay. There were moments, there were some flashes. He's not a first baseman. I was told he was terrible at first base. So let's rule that thing out. If you start hearing people talking about Campbell at first base this offseason, I just want you to remember that. I was told he is brutal at first base. Terrible. He might be a DH. I asked again, I said, what's his position? The guy said probably second base, which you saw second base. It's not great. My point is, I don't think Campbell's as close to ready as we all think he is. So I would trade him. Yes. Marcelo Meyer, I'd be open to it. Again, I'm not trading Campbell just to trade him, but is he the centerpiece of a Joe Ryan trade? Yeah, bye-bye. I will drive you to Minnesota. Same with Marcelo Meyer. Are you the centerpiece of a trade? Bye-bye. I'll drive you to Minnesota. You getting a middle-of-the-order impact bat for one of those guys? Yeah, see you later. So, listen, they've got assets. They've got money to spend. They always have money to spend. They haven't consistently spent it enough. And yes, of course, the Devers trade was bad. You have every right to call in tonight and say they should not have traded Rafael Devers. The way I would look at it, the way I say it is, I don't have a problem that you traded Rafael Devers. I have a problem with what you got for Rafael Devers because that thing wasn't good enough. He was a problem. He was an issue. And in the end, he's kind of a loser. But you can't give up on a guy because he's kind of a loser, but he's also your best player. You can't do that. And we found out this season that, Jarren Duran, kind of a loser, but definitely not your best player. So he definitely has to go. How about Andrew in New York? Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Matt. Yeah, look, you mentioned Alonso and Tucker as middle-of-the-order bats we could sign, and I wholeheartedly agree. But why should we have any faith in Brez and Henry to sign these guys to big deals after, they barely stumbled into a Bregman contract with an opt-out after 1 year? Does Henry care about optics and losing to the Yanks? Feels just like it's disappointment every offseason. We don't make strong moves anymore. Would love to be wrong.
Yeah, so here's my hope, Andrew, all right? You can say they backed into the Bregman thing, but they did make it happen, all right? So I feel like we do need to give them some level of credit for that. They also traded for Garrett Crochet. So if you want to know why Breslow is going to be different than Chaim Bloom, even if Brez is an effing stiff, they don't make the Garrett Crochet trade if Chaim Bloom's still the general manager here. Not only did they trade two of their top 5 prospects, so assets, did they trade some of their best assets for Garrett Crochet, they extended him. $180 million for a guy who basically never pitched before. That does show some level of commitment from John Henry. He then totally ruined that goodwill by prioritizing a financial return in the Devers trade. So you should question him, no doubt about it. Here's the only thing I hope, this is the only thing I'd say, is John Henry was around this team. It feels like a lot more this year. Feels like he was at Fenway a ton. He flew to Kansas City to talk to Rafael Devers. I'm not sure if he was doing that 2 years ago. He might be a little bit more engaged now than he's been. So that's my hope. That's my hope. I'm not saying I 100% fully believe it, but I see those signs and I say maybe, just maybe. How about Ben in Nebraska? Ben.
I just have two questions. One, what's your opinion on putting either Campbell at second or in the outfield next year? And second question is, what's your idea of our first baseman this year? Because I believe that Costas is not the answer because he's always hurt.
It has to be Alonso. Alonso is the perfect fit. He plays every game. He's a power hitter. You have to overpay for him. So it's Alonso or bust for me at first base. And for Campbell, like, can he play second base? Probably not. Can he play the outfield? Probably not. I don't think he's ready. I am not counting on Christian Campbell next year. Don't do it. I don't want to hear this offseason, well, we have Christian Campbell. No. No, if he doesn't get traded, he has to be a bonus to what happens. He has to legitimately hit his way to Boston and prove that he has a position. Don't count on him. Don't do what they did this past offseason where you make the decision on Campbell. Hey, he's ready to go. No, he's not. He never was. Brian in Swampscott with the final word tonight. Brian. Oh, Brian. Well, Brian in Swampscott did not have the final word tonight, so I guess, Skaz, that means I have the final word. Or would you like it?
McCarthy, you can have the final word, of course, but can I just give you one tiny, not a silver lining by any means, but something for you maybe to look forward to on your way home tonight?
I like that. Give it to me.
Matt McCarthy, you are a known Swiftie? There's a new Taylor Swift album out at midnight, McCarthy.
It's the only thing that can maybe even salvage the night slightly because the Red Sox hurt me again, Skaz. This one stings. It stings. But it's also made me realize